So there's actually some precedent for this. In 1991, before I get to this, we have questions. Ooh, how do the slides move forward? Okay, so let's go into the next slide. So there are sort of two arguments that I generally hear here. If you ban ransom payments, it'll cause too much pain. That's fair. You know what else causes pain? Ransomware attacks. Ransomware attacks cause a whole lot of pain. And then banning ransom payments will force companies to pay under the table. You know who else pays under the table? People now who pay ransoms and don't want anyone to know about it. So we already have people paying under the table. I actually witnessed a negotiation where the company that was paying the ransom specifically said, hey, we're going to pay your ransom, but we need to do it in increments under $100,000 so we don't have to report it. I'm like, oh, well, you guys are jackasses. So we already have people doing that. And we do have precedent for banning ransom payments. So in 1991, Italy banned paying ransoms kidnappings because kidnappings were running rampant in the country. And Italy very much is proud of the fact that they passed the law and that it stopped kidnapping. The only problem with this, for anybody who can read a chart, when they banned the ransom payments, kidnappings were already well on the decline. So it actually didn't have the impact that they claimed that it had. We also have other examples. Go ahead to the next slide. Both Florida and North Carolina have banned public entities from banning ransom payments. On the left is the news story about them doing that, and on the right are the number of ransomware attacks, pre-ransom, publicly reported ransomware attacks, pre-ban and after ban. Again, you can see that the ransomware actors don't care. There's this assumption when you try and do local payment bans, like in North Carolina and Florida, that the ransomware actors are targeting you specifically, but y'all in this room know they don't target, generally, they don't target a specific organization, they target weaknesses. So it doesn't matter if individual states ban ransoms because they're still going to be there. Now, what's interesting is if you talk to politicians in North Carolina and Florida, they will tell you that their ban has been a success. Based on publicly reported data, it doesn't look like it. And here's the other problem that we have with this is that most of the time, we don't actually know what's happening behind the scenes. So every public entity that gets hit with a ransomware attack in North Carolina and Florida is required to report it. That information is not made public to anyone. So all you people in the government, stop doing that. Make that data available. You don't have to give me the individual victims, but you have to give us like real usable stats that we can work with so we can actually understand what's happening. So I'm going to chastise every government employee. Please fix that. Go ahead to the next slide. What's that? So I did. I have two ransomware interns who, one of them whose sole job was to file FOIAs with every state to find out the number of ransomware attacks in each school district. So for example, in Kentucky, we filed in August of 2022. 2 weeks ago, we got back notification from them that because we don't live in Kentucky, they don't have to tell us. And then in other instances, we get the comment back, we can't tell you about that because it's sensitive information and it might give the bad guys more details. Well, the bad guys already know that you're vulnerable. We want to know how vulnerable. Could you please tell us what the numbers are? So why should we ban ransom payments if a ban won't actually slow down the number of attacks? It's because the number of attacks that we have are going crazy. Like, by every statistic that I've seen in 2023, the number of ransomware attacks were significantly up compared to 2022, and they look like they're continuing that way in 2024. Now, with the disruption of Lockbit, with the disruption of ALF, and hopefully with the continued disruption of Scattered Spider, we'll start to see some of that decline, but the numbers early in 2024 were not great. So hopefully, as we get further in the year, they'll go down. And those disruptions are good. We want more of those. But we also need to make sure that threat actors are disincentivized from entering ransomware in the first place. Right now, threat actors around the world see ransomware as extremely profitable. Now, part of that is, as far as I can tell, ransomware is the only crime where the bad guy goes and brags about their attacks. Like, BEC is probably just as commonplace as ransomware, but the BEC actors are smart. They don't go and tell everybody how many people they infected, and the victims sure aren't going to do it. The ransomware actors brag about all their victims and then make up extra victims just for the fun of it. And we are, again, because of you people in the government not sharing information about reporting, we are forced to rely on the ransomware actors to tell us how many ransomware attacks there were. Now, understand, John and the nice people at Google, they have a great data set, but they're not going to share it with me. I've asked very nicely. I know we have people from Palo Alto here. They have a wonderful data set they also won't share with me, and I've asked them very nicely. I haven't asked people at CrowdStrike nicely. They won't share their data with me anyway, because I make fun of their action figures. And my apologies, CrowdStrike, I don't mean to rant on you, but since you can't ask questions, you can't fight back. Make action figures of the people fighting the bad guys, not of the bad guys, please. All right, let's go to the next slide. I do like, though, if you all saw the news out of the UK earlier this week, Broken by the Record, which is an arm of Recorded Future, and does great cybersecurity reporting. The UK is proposing mandatory reporting for ransomware attacks and then a licensing regime in order to make payments, right? And this is similar to what IST and the IST's Ransomware Task Force has proposed, which I don't think goes far enough, but I think it's a really good start. If you have mandatory reporting, yes, there are some people that are going to try and avoid reporting and try and get out of it. I totally get it. But if we start with the assumption that mandatory reporting is the way to go, we can get a better handle on the number of attacks, and maybe that's a better solution than an outright ban, but I'd rather start with an outright ban and work our way backwards if that's better. And then, thank you, Greg. And then I know we have some people from Chain Analysis here. You can see, big fan of them, and we at Recorded Future love them. This is something that actually gives me hope. Ransomware attacks were out of control last year. I think everybody agrees on that. But based on the data that Chain Analysis collects, the number of payments went down. So we saw a decrease in payments. So the things that we're doing now are starting to have an impact. So if we go back to that first slide in Italy, where Italy decided to implement the ban after the problem was on the decline, that might be the thing that pushes us over the edge. If we're already seeing a decline in the number of payments, then maybe moving to the point where we can accelerate that decline by having a ban in place, it will make ransomware less effective. Is it going to stop cybercrime? Are we all going to be forced to retire and buy a farm? No. And in fact, most of y'all people shouldn't be on a farm, anywhere near a farm. I know everybody in cybersecurity thinks they're going to retire and buy a farm. Farming sucks. I come from a farming family. You do not want a farm. There's a reason why, as much as I love wine, I would never buy a vineyard. I don't want my wine being destroyed because somebody decided to have hail that season. And so banning ransom payments is an extreme step, but it also might be the least bad option available to us because nothing else seems to be working right now. Because, I mean, obviously the right thing to do would be drone strikes against ransomware actors and everybody better securing their stuff. But we're not going to do either of those things. So if we're not going to do that, why don't we go ahead and try banning ransom payments, try something, because what we're doing right now isn't working. And again, thank you all very much for your time. Come buy my comic book and tell me why I'm wrong there. Thank you all.